Hello, everybody. Welcome to Jersey Bay Shirt Country. I'm your host, John Schneider, as usual. And I love going out and videotaping things that a lot of us have never seen before. And you're going to see something really interesting today. I had access to an event that I was able to videotape, and we're going to look at it during this program. But first, some folks have said, John, last year you didn't have a beard. So just to explain briefly, I'm in a film, an independent film. I play Alfonso Belafonte for a film called Framed Red, which will come out in the fall of 2015. And this is what my character looks like. It's kind of a, whatever, crazy looking guy. I have to speak with an Italian accent. I don't want to sound like Father Guido Sarducci, however. And I get murdered in the film. So I'm still in the process of shooting, and long story. Anyway, today's show is all about Hartshorne Woods, but more importantly, the history that took place in Hartshorne Woods back in the days of the Cold War, when we had some big guns with big bullets, bigger bullets, they were huge, that were up in Hartshorne Woods Park, and there was some out in Long Island. In fact, there were some all along the eastern seaboard that were aimed out over the Atlantic in case an enemy attacked our country. We were defending New York City back in those days, and there were a lot of folks that went to the Navesink military reservation, and all kinds of things happened up there. But the Monmouth County Park System is restoring one of the batteries. I think it's Battery Lewis up in Hartshorne Woods Park, and you ought to go up there sometime. Great places to hike and explore and see nature and picnic and bicycle around if you want to. But what they did is they found out, this is what the gun looked like, by the way, back in the Cold War. It was a huge thing, and it was only fired once in a test. The bullets could go like 20 plus miles out into the ocean, and that was back in the day when you really had to be accurate. It wasn't all radar and technology and digital stuff. It was a lot more complicated, yet simple in some strange way. But this is the gun as it used to look, and this is what the battery looked like last year. And now it looks quite different, as you'll see in the video. But I was invited to go to Red Bank, where the gun's barrel, that is not a replica, but almost a duplicate, that was provided by the United States Navy in Norfolk, Virginia. And it was on one of the battleships, the U.S. New Jersey, which is kind of cool. So I got to go down one early morning to watch them unload the gun barrel, put it on a flatbed truck, and drive from Red Bank, New Jersey to Hartshorne Woods up a steep hill, and then unload it. And then at some point, it's going to be put into the battery, and people can come up and read all about the history. There's going to be a museum, and we'll cover all of that in future episodes. So here it is, bringing the gun barrel back home to Hartshorne Woods. During the 1940s, we knew that the enemy was out there somewhere, and so we watched and we waited patiently for an attack, and we watched from a secret place in these hills called the Highlands Military Reservation. And up in those hills were some big bad boys. They were a set of guns aimed out over the Atlantic Ocean, ready to fire at a moment's notice should our country come under attack. Now, these guns were located in Battery 116, and they were two 16-inch naval guns, which were capable of firing 16-inch projectiles, and these guns were only fired once in a test. As a result of the test, some houses in the area actually shook and some windows shattered, but they were never fired again. Battery 116, or Battery Lewis as it's called, is located in Hartshorne Woods Park near Highlands, New Jersey. And it was named after Colonel Isaac Lewis, who invented a lightweight machine gun for aircraft, and he died in 1931. This reinforced concrete battery started to be built in 1942 and was deactivated 6 years later. Both of the guns were connected by an ammunition tunnel and covered with earth. Here's the entrance to the ammunition tunnel, and it ran from the left to the right to each of the batteries. Today, work has begun by the Monmouth County Park System to restore Battery Lewis so that the public can better understand what life was like when these guns and the base were both active and on duty to respond to threats from abroad.
We decided to elevate the significance of the historic resources, which we've known all along are in this park. And so we started the restoration of Battery Lewis, and as some people may know, we restored the outside of the battery in 2013. And it came to our attention that there were some surplus 16-inch gun barrels down in Norfolk, Virginia, that the Navy had been storing since 1953 and were eager to seek new homes for. And we thought it over, and we thought it would be a real asset to the Battery Lewis restoration if we would include one of those 16-inch gun barrels in our restoration, because the Navy supplied the guns for the original Army coastal defenses during World War II. And so the difference between the original guns that were here and the gun that we have now is really minimal. And then to make it more interesting, we selected a gun which was originally mounted on the battleship New Jersey, which everyone knows is a historic site in Camden. And we just thought it was a great joint venture. We hope to cooperate with them on programs and advertising. We support them and they support us. So we're very pleased that we were finally able to get this gun barrel up here from Virginia, and yesterday moved it from Red Bank to Hartshorne Woods Park.
Well, there's the gun barrel right there. And here's the guy that's going to do it.
This is Rob from Central Jersey Trucking and Rigging, lifting it safely onto our trailer. Yeah, it's a 400-ton crane. It's got six truckloads of counterweights on it. It's going onto a special gold hopper trailer. It's a 12-axle hydraulic trailer. Making sure it's all secure and then transporting it through the county, through Red Bank, Middletown, and Highlands. It's probably going to go 20 miles an hour. Up the hill a little slower.
When the idea came up that there was materials down in Norfolk, artillery materials in other words, that were being scrapped, we were told that one of them was a gun that was once sighted on the battleship New Jersey. And so, because that's a Navy base, considering it had to travel from Norfolk to New Jersey. But once that was put in action, of course, there was a requirement for monies and what have you. And the Friends of the Parks got involved, and they assisted in all of this. And of course, I'm very closely connected to the parks, being its liaison for so many years.
It wasn't really difficult, actually. We did a lot of research. I interviewed contractors and talked to the railroad before we issued it to bid to see what was feasible, to see, of course, how much it was going to cost. And we have an excellent rigger. He's got a lot of first-hand experience doing heavy lifting. So it actually turned out, with all that background research and homework, that it wasn't that difficult. We had the right guy for the job, so that's the key.
It was a very cold morning in Red Bank, and everything looked like it was working perfectly. This activity, this event was extremely well planned. We were in the New Jersey Transit train yard, and the crew knew exactly what to do. This huge crane had to have counterweights put on it. So there were at least 6 flatbed trucks like this one with a counterweight that had to be lifted up by the crane itself and put on the crane's back so it wouldn't tip over when it picked up that gun. These guys knew exactly what they were doing, and the rigger was watching every step along the way. The police in Red Bank and Monmouth County and Highlands were so helpful in making sure that a lot of onlookers didn't come and spoil what we were trying to do. And there were onlookers, as well as the news media. This is the flatbed truck that's going to haul it away. That green material can carry more weight than you'd ever realize. And pretty soon, the crane is going to go up and it's going to lift the cannon onto the flatbed truck. It was a sight to behold. And meanwhile, all the transit trains were going back and forth, and I'm sure everyone going to work or on the train, they were gawking at what was going on with this thing. Like I said, it was a sight to behold. Riggers are getting ready now. We're pretty close, pretty close. Even the riggers were taking pictures of this event. And the guy there with the rope, or he looked like one of the guys that would hold on to the Macy's Thanksgiving Day floats. And that rope is to guide the cannon over to the truck. And there it is, it's up. Here comes the truck. Oh man, this was so cool. 96 wheels on that truck. Can you imagine pulling into a gas station and saying to the attendant, "Would you check my air pressure, please?" Uh-oh, gun is being aimed at us. Imagine that thing on a battleship or at Hartshorne Woods Park when it's finally delivered. Oh man, it's going to be so cool. I tell you, this crane looked like it was brand new. Everything about it was shiny. And the riggers and all the people that put this together, they had rehearsed this over and over and over. And the Monmouth County Park System, that really was the client for all this, was so happy and so pleased when this gun was finally put on the truck. We all breathed a sigh of relief. I mean, this gun is ancient history. It goes back 60, 70 years. And everybody was taking pictures. Like I say, the news media was there. The park system had helicopters flying overhead, taking pictures. It was unbelievable. Here we go. See, the truck has to move a little bit to make sure that it's going to land in exactly the right spot. No mistakes can be made here. Here it comes. Ready for touchdown, I'm telling you. It's like a moon landing. All right, here it comes. Here it comes. Touchdown! Touchdown! There it is. Touchdown. And that crane operator, I wouldn't want to be him. I'm telling you, he knew how to operate that crane with precision. Here it is. This truck and this gun are going to go through Monmouth County, up Route 35, actually across the bridge from Red Bank to Middletown, to Route 36, into Highlands, up Portland Road. We're all kind of wondering, will it make it? I mean, some of these turns and some of these inclines are very steep. There's the end of the gun barrel. Kind of tying it down. You know, I said to some of the guys, why are you going to tie it down? It's so heavy, it's never going to fall off the truck. There's the driver giving a signal. He's ready. He's ready to go. Everybody's getting ready. There are the onlookers, as well as the head of the Middletown Police. And here we go.
Well, my name is Mike Tokach from Wyalusing, Pennsylvania. Work for Central Jersey. It's a 400 Caterpillar, a B model, with a 13-speed Fuller transmission, a 4-speed auxiliary, 10-to-1 rear end, with 15-to-1 ratio planetary rear ends. It was just a normal load. It pulled good, handled good. Average speed's probably about 15 mile an hour. The worst turn was coming out of the rail yard. They steered it out of the rail yard. I steered it the whole way coming up the hill. But other than that, everything else was fine.
Look at all these people waiting outside of the New Jersey Transit train yard to take pictures and see this thing go through Red Bank. This guy here, he's actually in charge of steering the trailer on tight turns. And every one of these wheels turns when the steering wheel turns. Or if it's turned by the controller that's walking alongside, all the wheels turn in unison, all 96 of them. Isn't that amazing? All right. There's the rigger, and he is watching this thing and holding his breath, but he's done this so many times. He's carried bigger loads than this, for sure. And here we go, down the streets of Red Bank. There we are now. Now they're crossing the bridge of the Navesink River. And here it comes up Route 35 on its trip to Hartshorne Woods Park. My gosh, look at this. Thank goodness for the police. They waved us through. There was a helicopter looking at traffic. This is by Earl, Naval Weapons Station Earl. It's starting to come now into Leonardo, and now here it is in Highlands, and it's going to make the turn. Here comes one of the Highlands, I believe that's the Highlands police car. This is the road that it's going up, which is Portland Road. And here it is, making a critical turn by the bridge. And now this is a critical part of the journey. This is a critical part of the journey. It's going through a residential area. The road is not very wide. It twists and turns, and it's steep. But this is the final leg of the journey before it makes it to Hartshorne Woods. See, it's going real slow, and there's a whole parade of cars, and there are woods going up the way.
Yeah, well, the main challenge was coming up a very, very narrow road into a park, going onto a lawn when all the equipment weighs over 400,000 pounds, making sure we didn't sink, and then we could actually make the turns on all the small roads and bridges that we crossed.
And it was challenging. Look at this. I mean, can you imagine 120 tons moving up this road, Portland Road? And now we're getting up to Hartshorne Woods Park. There's the sign welcoming us to Hartshorne Woods Park. And if you haven't been to Hartshorne Woods Park, You can hike, you can bike, you can explore. There's so much history here. Here's some folks going up to see it. There's the Battery Lewis bunker, one of them. There are two. And here's some of the guys that manned this gun back in the old days. There's a view from where we are. The Atlantic Ocean and Seabright is over there. And this is it. A lot of veterans came to see. A lot of folks from around the towns came to see. A lot of pictures were taken. It was a beautiful, beautiful event. There's Lillian Burry and some of the other freeholders. There's Doug Card from Highlands. Lots of interviews, lots of pictures, lots of memories. There are some of the freeholders of Monmouth County. Monmouth County Park System had a helicopter videotaping.
I'm Douglas Card. I'm a councilman here in Highlands, New Jersey. We're up here at the Battery Lewis, getting this great cannon, or gun barrel as you would say, put in place. It's a great historical moment for both Highlands and Monmouth County and the park system. We have a great day here weather-wise. You can see the crane in the background. We should encourage people to come up here and check it out and learn some history about this great cannon and what these battery parks were about.
We have a beautiful gun turret that's been delivered, and it's part of Monmouth County history. This was a gun that had a radius of shooting going back to the early centuries, 25 miles. That was to Point Pleasant to the south and to Long Island to the northeast. And it protected our harbor. And that is being recreated here today. And we're really looking forward to all of the visitors coming here and viewing this as we get things in place.
So all they have to do now is unload the gun. And they have to be obviously just as careful unloading it and setting it on the ground as they were in picking it up off the railroad car in Red Bank. Lots of people watching this very historic event. There's the truck driver. He wants to get a picture too.
A couple of groundhogs living here.
He was such a great guy. He took me for a ride in his truck, and I'm going to show it to you a little bit later in this video.
Well, today the crane is going to offload the gun barrel from the tractor trailer into its temporary location right next to the casemate. And this summer we will restore the gun barrel. It has to be cleaned and painted. And we will also try to get the construction of the pedestal ready so that we can mount it later this year into its final location, which is in the casemate on the south end of the battery. I just want to say that the gun barrel is just one part of this huge project. You know, it's all about the whole site, you know, the park. It's an additional attraction, and we look forward to working with the Park Service out in Fort Hancock because we have mutual interests. Fort Hancock was the control center for our site.
You know, Gail Hunton, who coordinated this whole thing on behalf of the Monmouth County Park System, has done such a superb job, I believe. You know, she has built a collaboration with a lot of different entities and a lot of different people and made this happen. She built excitement and enthusiasm among the communities that are impacted by this. And what community isn't? This is a testament to our country and to our veterans and to the technology that was available back in the day when this thing was the most technologically advanced weapon that we had at the time. Think about that. This was aim and shoot. Here it comes, touchdown. Fantastic. Anyway, you've got to come to Hartshorne Woods Park. Here's the final inspection. Gail and the rigger, Rob, are going to take a look, make sure everything is in place, because once it's down and the crane disappears. All right, I'm going to ride in this truck, and I'm going to take you along with me. This is the truck that carried the gun. It's a Mack truck. Here's our driver. Look at the wheels turning. See them? See, they all turn together, and there's Rob, the rigger, who's going along, kind of making sure that everything is okay.
And it's a modular trailer, and you build it whichever way. You can make it a dual lane, you can haul boats, whatever. Just keep adding on and adding on.
People still taking pictures, even of the truck. Look at this.
We hope to have at least some of the exhibits in place. We have exhibits planned for at least 3 rooms in the Battery to tell people about the history of the Navesink Military Reservation and the coastal defenses of the New York Harbor. And the bigger story, too, about the Navesink Highlands as a unique geographical feature and as a natural fortress, and also, the wonderful resources we have in the park.